Some of us may have been born with the passion to create, but a lot of us probably weren't. So how did we become this creative person? Yo, it's your friendly neighborhood knucklehead, and in this video, I'm going to talk about understanding why we became artists in order to continue being artists. Understanding why and how we became the person that we became is going to better understand what we can keep doing to continue being this person in the future. Where these things come from can also be where they're going. Now, first of all, it's becoming more and more popular to understand that our adulthood comes from our childhood. And there's many aspects of our life that this applies to. Actually, it probably applies to all aspects of our life. But in terms of becoming the person that we want to be with our passions, with our career, with the things that really get us going, it really comes from some kind of childhood circumstance or some kind of childhood environment. Take Batman, right? Batman has this real traumatic childhood event, watching his parents get murdered, and he spends the rest of his life fighting crime to try to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else's parents. But what is he really doing? He's really trying to undo the event that happened in childhood. He's really fighting crime in order to try to fight the criminal that murdered his parents. So it's really just like a hamster wheel of him just trying to chase down the past somewhat. So if we don't recognize ourselves as creatives when we think back to our childhood, there's a chance that there are some certain characteristics that do lead to creativity that came from childhood. So what was our childhood like? Were we alone a lot? Were we considered sensitive to other people? Were we able to pick up on the emotions of other kids or other adults? Or did things affect us pretty dramatically? I remember when I used to watch, I still remember this. When I used to watch TV as a kid, there would be this commercial for fabric softener. I think it's called like Snuggle or Snuggie. There's like this fabric softener that has this teddy bear, and those commercials used to always like move me to tears as a kid, just because of the landscape and the how happy this bear was and how cute the bear was. It used to just make me feel really emotional for some reason. Also, like in movies and TV shows, when there would be scenes of someone getting bullied, that would hit me like below the belt. You know what I mean? It would just really hit me in a way where I felt like this is just so unjust, and I wish that there was something I could do to help that situation, even though it was on screen. But I remember those kinds of events of unfairness, of injustice, even in kids' shows, even in movies, really having an effect on me and really making me feel different. And if you're similar and you're able to feel like that sensitivity towards other things, it kind of means that we're able to feel other people's pain as well as our own pain in a more sensitive way, where it really does affect us in a pretty emotional fashion. And this is the idea of becoming an empath or empathetic, where you're really able to tune to the emotional frequency of other people or other events and things like that. And so with that in mind, if we were like alone a lot, chances are, if we're feeling this sensitivity and we're feeling pain from our own events or from other people, chances are like we needed some kind of outlet for that. And sometimes as kids, it's not really easy to find that. So we'll just internalize. And furthermore, if we really didn't feel like our needs were getting met by our parents, whether there was neglect going on, whether they weren't around when you needed them, it just further emphasizes the fact that a lot of us were internalizing things as kids rather than feeling like we could express ourselves and express things that we were feeling in a healthy, safe, or supportive way. So we could have had a parent that was just not around. We could have had a parent that was just emotionally unavailable themselves. Or we could have had a parent that was abusive or just a jerk, right? All of these things result in a similar thing, which is we feel like we are on our own. And as we grow up, this sensitivity can be a real battle sometimes. But the reality is that it can be a very useful tool, like a knife. We can use it to hurt ourselves, or we can use it to, cut food and nourish ourselves. It really depends on how we're using it and what our awareness is to it and how we can coexist living with this kind of stuff. And depending on our environment, depending on what we're exposed to through our teenage years, college years, into our 20s, we can experience like self-destruction, addiction, just all types of stuff that's out there because we don't know what to do with all of this pain that we've internalized over the years. Then comes art. When we can expose ourselves and start trying like creative outlets, that's when a lot of people realize, wow, this is what I've been missing. This is what I really want to do. I want to express myself. And it doesn't have to be any which way of creation. Like it could be you picking up an instrument to play and think, wow, this is something that is getting something out. It could be coloring in a book. It could be drawing. It could be writing. Writing is huge, probably for everybody. But really figuring out how to express this internalized pain, how to allow ourselves to be this sensitive person that we've tried not to be growing up because we just wanted to be normal. We need to accept who we are and figure out how we can coexist with this superpower. There have been times over the years where I would fall into such a deep sadness or a deep depression, and there was part of me that started to get excited because of it. That emotion and that energy could yield to some really cool writing, could yield to some really cool music to put out. When I would pick up the guitar and I was feeling really, really upset, sometimes the notes and the chords, they just sounded different. And if I played a type of riff or a type of chord progression sometimes, I would feel it deeper than I would if I wasn't in any particular emotional state. So our awareness to these aspects to ourselves and our awareness to our purpose to create will help us sustain creativity as a tool for our emotional well-being, our mental health, and just our purpose in life. If you're this far in the video, you might as well give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And also, for more information on this, I actually wrote a blog that I'm gonna put a link to in the comments. You can subscribe to that blog as well if you're a reader. It was kind of a two-part blog post that I put out about our childhood wounds and how it kind of affects us becoming creative people. And I also include some research and other articles that I was, looking at to be able to learn about this stuff. Right up here, I'm going to put a video on how I was able to reduce the effects of depression through self-awareness. And if you're going through a similar thing, I hope that video helps you. I will see you in the next video. And as always, stay creative.